Hello and welcome. This is number 6 of a 5-part series. Um, I'll be I've been talking about the Empyrean cards, and I'm saying one thing about the deck as a whole, and introducing one card, and this is the one I'll be talking about. And the reason I decided I needed to do number 6 and not just end is that I forgot to say something really important about why this thing is called an integration deck. So Empyrean is not a fortune telling deck, it's an integration deck. And so that means something very specific to me. And the way I want to explain that is by introducing this card and its relationship to this one. So remember, bondage is what we talked about in the last video. And bondage is a curse card. So in every house, there is one card within the dominion that is a curse card. And the curse is sort of the shadow side, I guess, or the dark side, or the dangerous side. But every single house has one. Every single house has something that it needs in order to function, but that it can go awry. In the case of bondage, we're in the house of law, and the idea of law, the experience of law, the kind of deep metaphysical structure, I guess, of law is that it's got to be enforced, right? There's got to be an enforcement, and that's a matter of how we learn the law in the first place, and also why we follow it. It's sort of why the law is important, I guess, because if we try to break the law or go against the law, bad things happen. And of course, one of the bad things that happens with bondage is just sort of this sense of guilt, this consciousness of shame that drags on and can go, far beyond the point that it's useful. And when that happens, well, the cost or the burden of the curse outweighs the benefit of having this enforcement principle. And so what do you do when things get out of balance? Well, each curse card has at least one card in the deck that sort of balances it out, that sort of corrects it, that brings it in line, I guess, with the rest of your life, or can help. Within every domain, within every house, there's one card that addresses specifically the curse of that same house. But so within the house of bondage, this is that card. And so I'm going to talk about this in a second. But there are other cards in the deck that can help balance or integrate this thing when necessary. So what is season? Well, season is the card, as you can see, its principle is time, or the passing of time, and the virtue is eternity. So virtue in this case is not like a moral virtue. Virtue is sort of like the power or the force or the underlying energy, I guess, that is sort of produced when this thing is operating correctly. So it seems sort of ironic, but actually our sense of the temporary, our sense that each thing has a beginning and a middle and an end, is sort of part and parcel to our experience of eternity. So everything in this life, everything that we experience, everything in the world has a season or a period. So any specific period of time could be a breath, could be a day, could be a year, could be a month, could be a lifetime or a generation, could be the period of your life when you were in college. Oh, the college days, what wild and reckless times they were. So a period in your life, a challenging period in your life, could be the period of the entire cosmos. Because guess what? The entire cosmos has a period. It starts as an arc and then it ends, and then guess what? Another one starts. That's the system. That's just how it works, and that's really important to how we make plans, sort of practically, how we organize our lives practically, and also I think just helps us appreciate the good things in life, right? Knowing that good things, just like all the bad things, come to an end. Bad things come to an end. I'm glad. I just have to wait. Good things come to an end. Well, I'm gonna appreciate them more, right? I'm gonna appreciate that I don't have this forever, so I'm gonna enjoy it for this season while I have it. And in the case of bondage, right, this is our idea of punishment. This is our idea of guilt. We should feel guilty. We should feel burdened. We should be punished when we do things that are like really bad. But it must come to an end, right? There must be a point at which we say, you know what, I've suffered enough. I've done my time. I've been in prison for X number of years. It's time to move on. And that's what this card represents. So if you get this card in your spread, this isn't always a bad thing, but it can be a bad thing if, again, the cost of the curse outweighs the benefit of the blessing, right? And when that happens, then you need some other card in the deck, or would like, it'd be great if there was some other card in the deck that would appear in your spread that says, oh, you know what, it's time for this thing to end. And that's what this card represents. And generally, all the curses in the deck are like that. When we have bad things in our life, when we have things that cause suffering, when we have people or personality factors, right, that we don't like, generally speaking, the thing is not to defeat it or overcome it or erase it or avoid it, all the things that we normally like to do, which are much easier. Actually, what we need to do is integrate it. And so for anything that needs to be integrated, anything that's like causing problems, there's usually at least one and usually 2 or 3 cards in the deck that can help you make sense of this thing in such a way that that it's orderly, that it's in order, that you can tell a story. Because that's really what's important to us, right? Our lives need to make sense. We need to have a sense of what our purpose is and what our calling is, and how the different people in our lives and the different likes and dislikes, how these things fit together. And so you have things in your life that are sort of chaotic or unpleasant. You can't just get rid of them. Hardly ever can you just get rid of them. You need to integrate them. And my hope for this deck is that this deck can help you integrate those difficult things as well as enjoy and appreciate all the good things. So that's the last episode in this 5/6 part series. Thanks for listening. Tune in to the next series when I will actually start to talk about how to put these cards together in a reading and how to interpret them in that context. Thanks for listening.